We haven't had this vibe since 7. In terms of not on-field production, I'm just talking about just a true leader. The true, like, when you talk about a guy that's going to command the team, that type, yeah. The guy that, remember when Mitch got there and everybody was working out with Mitch in Florida? It's like, he's that type of guy. It's like, yo, everybody's going to come and train with me now. Like, that's a different feeling that, like I said, we just haven't had recently, man. But,
yeah, just overall, like,
yeah,
not
like
even talking the quarterback position. We haven't had
Just
a
in
leader on offense in general.
period, yeah. Like
all these young dudes and guys that haven't been around for even like the Killer B era. Whenever Ben was here that last year, it was just a bunch of young dudes.
Yeah. So guys like
Deontay, I think, was the oldest guy.
He
right?
was. Yeah, he was the vet. That was the crazy part. It's like right now, man, these guys are going to get a chance to be around somebody that has actually won it all. Has actually had a chance to go back and has lost it. This is the dude that when you talk about just every emotion or anything that could potentially come up this season, he's been a part of it in some way, shape, or form prior to this and has found ways to overcome it.
Well, even just coming in humble, too, because that was one of the things we were talking about a lot as the Russell Wilson rumors were being brought up. Is he going to come in and be willing to compete, or is he just going to want the QB1 spot as soon as he signs? And apparently the Steelers have made it clear you're coming in to compete. Now, okay, I mean,
I love it.
That's out there.
I love it.
That's straight up out there. I'm sure that was brought up in the conversation. So Russ understands what the Steelers want, what their expectations are.
Yeah.
And he's willing to humble himself and say, all right, I'll come in and compete. Even though you're not giving me the job like right away or anything, I'll compete.
He said that's the mindset you want to see, man.
And that's coming off of, him having his own office in Denver, getting $50 million per year deal out there. And like, you're Russell Wilson. So, like, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. You are Super Bowl champ. The metric that we deem as end-all, be-all, you've already crossed that threshold. And you did it super early in your career as well. Man, it's just different space right now, man. Different space that he's in. But I do think that's part of, like I said, why this makes a lot of sense, why it's, like I said, exciting, man. And I think KP, I can understand being partly pissed, but at the same time, just make sure you got the right mindset. Because, yeah, you want to compete with it, but it could also be an asset for you. What you can't do is have that mindset that you had when they asked you, did you learn anything from watching Mason? And your response was no. Right mindset, though, man. I think this could be dope for all parties involved, man.
Yeah, it's objectively a good move.
You think it's a competition, though?
They said it. So,
what's your heart tell you, Deke?
I already told you. Like, come on. I told you this.
But it's only $1.2 million.
You bring in Russell Wilson. Come on.
It's 1.2 mil.
Come on, dude. If you're signing Russell Wilson, you know why you're signing Russell
2
Wilson.
months ago, we both would have been like, he's probably on the back end. We don't want that.
Well, for the amount.
Yeah.
For the amount that we thought it would take to get him, draft pick plus money.
Yeah.
Probably not worth it, but now I'm looking at some Russ highlights from last year, and I'm like, you know,
I know you see the where he spit out and then throw that thing, drop it to the back of the end zone for the Jerry. I know you've seen it.
All right, here's
I
really like
I know
that
you've seen that one. I'm like, bruh. Then he got when we did it to the other end zone versus the Chargers. I'm like, oh.
I like that first one a little better though.
It's like,
No, so I remember my initial take on Russ throughout the season. You could probably go back on podcasts. Anytime Russ was brought up, I'm like, dude, he's actually not doing bad with Denver.
I would agree.
And I think I felt that way once the season ended. But then whenever he was brought up coming here, potentially, I was like, what? You know, it's going to be way too much for him. Like, 35, 36. His contract's insane. That's not worth it at all. Because he was brought up, Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And then we got the news that, he's available for $1 million. This was like a week or two ago.
Game changer.
And it's like, you know what? I don't really have an argument against this. So if it happens, it happens. Like, there's a case that Russ could actually fit pretty well in the Arthur Smith system. There's a case that Russ isn't completely washed. There's a case he could have a little second stint to his career here, second win. There's a case for all that. Just like I've been making the case that we could do good by having Kenny as the starting quarterback or Mason. So that's all in play, but you attach Russell Wilson to that name or that potential. It's like, man, he's already done it. It's just about what risk you're wanting to take, and I think the least risk is Russell Wilson out of all those guys.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I completely get it. It's just, and this is what I was saying at the beginning or hinting at the beginning. Like, it's a pro. Like, this is ultimately a great thing for the Steelers, no matter what.
Right.
Low risk, high reward.
Right.
Because if Russell Wilson's Russell Wilson, this is what you've been looking for, and it's on cheap.
1.2 mil.
Or if Kenny beats out Russell Wilson, or it's not working out with Russ, and Kenny becomes the guy, then there's your high reward. You might have your long term answer there.
And you just sitting down 1.2 mil.
Yeah,
it doesn't kill anything.
But the I guess the con to it, just from my personal perspective, no one else cares about this. I know that for a fact. Is just I don't think I'm going to be able to get to see Kenny in year 3 here. That's all.
Okay. Well, you still will get a chance to see him, at least in the preseason, because he's going to get opportunities to show what he.
They say competition too.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to get an opportunity in the preseason. Is it impossible for Kenny to beat out Russell Wilson? No, it is not impossible. Now, is it likely? Probably not, but it could still happen, and that's the one thing that we would all agree. It is a possibility for it to happen. Now, like we said, when we're talking about the percentages of it,
it's going to be interesting. Like the OTA, all this stuff's going to be pretty interesting to see how it plays. Because what if you do get some of these like really positive reports from Kenny early on, and who knows? But I mean, if you're putting your money somewhere,
I just think it would be interesting if Kenny did beat him out, how people would feel knowing that Russell Wilson is sitting on the bench, regardless of if Kenny did legitimately beat him out, just because. When you're talking about what we've seen both of these guys do in games, we've just seen way more from Russ. And it's like, would people really be cool with that if that did happen? Or would they be booing Kenny the way that we were booing, or people were booing Mitch at one point for Kenny to come out there? Would they be booing Kenny for Russ to come out there if Kenny were to start week 1?
I told you, Kenny's got like a 4 or 5% approval rating right now.
This is very legitimate. You know what, Deke? I didn't want to believe you when you first told me that. The more I've been watching you, they don't rock with your boy at all, bro. He is on the naughty list, man. They don't like.
God, I can't stand him.